Hello everyone, I got another video up. First disclaimer, nothing meant or intended for legal purposes. Anything I talk about is meant for education, mostly history. And nothing I say in any of my videos is meant or intended for anybody to use for legal purposes. This next video is I'm going to cover, topic came up, best conditioners. Now I'm going to cover mostly the people in my area that I knew that actually seen their dogs. At the end, if I remember, I'll give some honorable mentions. None of these are any particular order, and I consider them to be top conditioners and handlers. And I'm going to kind of go through the progression, because that's what people don't talk about. A lot of times, you know, we hear people's names, we see people's names, we read about them, and you have to understand that most of them start off at a lower level and then they move up. And even the dogs themselves, and the dog may become famous later, but at the time nobody really knew who they were. They didn't know the person. They could have some losses early on against other top guys, but they weren't a top guy themselves. That happens. That's the way it goes. You come out and you want to be considered the best, or learn from the best, or go against the best. That's what you have to do, compete against the best, no matter what level you're on. So I'm going to start off with some of the early guys that I met. And first one would be Red Williams. Right, now the first dog I saw him condition, this is where I really got kind of an idea of what conditioning is supposed to look like, was a female named China. She won in 16 minutes, broke the female, both her opponent's front wheels, and she would just look in perfect condition. Her attitude was right, her focus was right, all her muscles you could see. And that was her first win. She went on to win another one, then she passed away after that. But I just thought, she's also on the cover of the Sporting Dog Journal back in the day. You can research that. It says Super Dog or something like that, and has a, what would be called a meme. Not really a cartoon, but it's her. Looks like she's flying through the air, and she's got like a Superman cape on. Real kind of a tricky, nice thing to put out. But I saw him do several dogs. The Casey dog went 1:55. He's a pure Kobe dog. Philo, Taylor, Lumpy, all showing good conditioning, and also in different times. And I think that's the one thing about good conditioners. A lot of people will speak, you know, they want to get in and out of there real quick, and they didn't like to go distance, but any good conditioner knows that he may have to at any time, and you have to be prepared for that. You have to condition your dog for that. Even though you may expect a short time because you had a rough dog, or he was a bone crusher, whatever, it doesn't always happen that way. So his dogs were consistently in good shape, and he was the type, he would figure out what the dog liked, what he could do, because some of them weren't very good workers. Like, what was that dog's name? He was kind of a Boyle's bred dog, and was hard to work. He told me he wouldn't run a mill, he wouldn't, you know, do other traditional stuffs. He used, you know, as you progress, you try different things. So sometimes he used mostly a mill, a lot of hand walking, sometimes a cat mill, different things. So what he did with this dog basically was put a harness on him and just walked him up and down hills, you know. The dog could pull, and that's how he got a lot of the work out of him. I think he beat a 4-time winner in 1:50. But he also had short wins before that. and he had a loss too. I think he got a bleeder hit in his stifle or something, and they had to pick him up in 16 minutes, and he won in an hour 50 after that. He used to get it real in tune with the dog and try to get everything he could out of him, get close to him, build that bond with him, and get them to do whatever they like to do at their best. And I think he used an 8-week keep, not sure, but I've known him for years and years. I never really asked him that point, but that's what I'm guessing, because that's what a lot of people did. And I won't talk about people's feed because I'm not sure on a lot of it, other than just giving general stuff. So you feed meat and fat and different supplements. Some people use steroids and some don't. Most people in my time used steroids. Some people didn't, and but it's just a matter of getting dogs in shape, and you have to be able to. A lot of times, you're close to home. They had a spot in the area where several dogs were matched in that area, in that spot. I matched Ronnie there. I matched Miss Rowdy there. Champion Seeker was matched there. Bullshit and Taylor were matched there. Taylor was one of his dogs. He was a 1 or 2-time winner, and he went into Bullshit, who made his championship off Taylor in 2 hours and 33 minutes. Lumpy was matched there. Champion Fox was matched there. Champion Seeker was owned by Mr. K. Just a lot of people used to go there, and it was a real nice, safe spot. But like I said, he always had his dogs in good shape. Had some great wins, some tough losses, and but I don't recall any of his losses being on the fact that the dog wasn't in good shape. Another one I met early on and I lost to him was Smith and Walton, Bobby Smith. I lost to him, grand champion, who would become grand champion Badger in 52 minutes. Ronnie was real game. I didn't know how to condition, and Ronnie paid the price for it, but Badger was a little monster, just a fire-breathing dragon. Shoulders, stifle, kidneys, like that. Now Bobby, in my opinion, he liked strong dogs. So I think he fed a lot of red meat, and they were always like kind of bulky, more like a power lifter than a bodybuilder, strong. Not all of them were that way, but most of them were that way. And I saw Champion Fox. I lost to Badger. I saw him. I saw a dog that was bred by him. Champion Tito was off of Bad Billy. I saw Bad Billy off the chain. Devastating dog. Again, Bobby. Sometimes he would take a dog out. You know how you see him go on the side of a vehicle. Run him like that. But he used mostly a treadmill. Not a lot of hand walking. Bobby was big, 6 foot tall, over 400 pounds. And if you can imagine someone that size being nimble on their feet and quick with their hands, being able to condition. He went on a 20-win streak one time. One with dogs like, it was either Granny or Mammy, I forget. Williams had Granny or Mammy. And Bobby had Mammy or I forget. They're kind of similarly bred. But I saw Champion Campesino. I saw Champion Fox, Grand Champion Badger, of course. He had a female champion. Of course, he had Champion Bad Billy. The female champion, she was a Weldon Stockton bred bitch. Forgive me for forgetting the names. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I really didn't do research because I just wanted to put a video out after the first of the year. Ruben, of course, he got him as a one-time winner, and he lost in an hour 40-something minutes with him. Ruben became ROM. Bobby had several champions and several winners, 2-time winners, but they were always strong-looking dogs. And again, a lot of them would win short, some of them would win long distance, most of them around the hour mark. They could go time if they had to, but they were just a rough, powerful type. They would get in there and get the job done. And that's the type of dog Bobby liked, you know. He told me that, of course, he fed red meat and he liked them strong. Hooter was another one by Ruben, just a devastating dog. He won twice in 30 minutes and then 31 minutes. On both dogs, he broke their shoulders. One of them, he broke the muzzle. I saw him go. Just good dogs. All bred around the Ruben, Bad Billy, Carver, Boomerang, different kind of stuff. Campesino, I forget exactly how he was bred, but he came from Amigo, and he was different than what Bobby was used to using, but he's just a little firecracker. 30-pound champion, head dog kind of, you know, screamer, wild, like that. Reminded me of my own Mr. Rowdy, reminded me of Ronnie, reminded me of Philo, was that way, you know, high energy dogs. And Bobby, rest in peace. Always have to give him a shout out. Very successful career. He didn't lose too much. And next guy I'd like to talk about, and this one is kind of a world traveler, Tito and the local boys. He, of course, he had champion Ninja, his champion Ninja, Carver bred dog, 4-time winner. Lost to Vince's Peak, which I refereed in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Tito was the type, he'd fight locally, he'd fight north and south, he'd travel across country. He traveled and won with Ninja. He traveled a couple of times. Beat Ken Allen with him. Beat Henry B's champion Mr. Rogers. And, you know, Mr. Rogers removed all the meat from the inside of his armpit. Tito was at the Big Red Scratch and Stitch show, and that's where he showed me pictures of Ninja. They had to do corrective surgery to, you know, fix it, but you could always see a little dent there, like a piece of meat missing on his armpit. Just an old war dog. Like I said, 4-time winner. He could win short, he could win long. I think 3 of his 4 wins were under an hour, and his loss was in 2 hours and 20 minutes, like I just mentioned. Tito was the type, if you ever been around guys like this, is that he was real calculated, never missed weight, and most of the times I saw him, and he matched at my place and matched at different places where we all did. And again, he would travel distances. He used So-So Boy's grand champion Fritz. He had another 6-time winner, I forgot. He had a little bitch down off of Ruby and Fritz that I saw. Beat a 2-time winner in a little over an hour and 5 minutes or something like that. But one thing about Tito is he always came in on weight, and most of the time it was right on the button. Now how he did it, what he did, how his conditioning was, they matched that part. I don't know. I never, you know, you don't get too nosy, you don't ask too much. He used one of my dogs, Howler, and Howler finished the dog in like 47 minutes. He beat Williams with Outlaw Jr. and with a bitch named Ruby. Outlaw Jr. beat Philo in an hour 53 or hour 46 or hour, something like that, almost 2 hours. And then Ruby beat Miss Nevada in 2 hours and 37 minutes. He beat Bakary at my house in 38 minutes. Bakary had a dead game dog named Rascal. Tito was using Captain Kidd. I believe she belonged to Die Hard. Captain Kidd ended up being a 2-time winner, I think. But he always had his dogs in good shape, and he was a very good handler. Like I said, calculating, always on point. And the group he had around him, they worked real good in unison as a group. So whether it was a corner man, the guy who washed, they always paid attention to everything. They always had his back. They watched everything that was happening. They watched how you wash the dogs. One time he came to my house and the lighting wasn't sufficient because he'd been there. Because I did it outside and I would have to hang lights, right? But I guess the lighting wasn't good enough for him. They brought their own lights. So they, hey, Richard, can we string up light? Yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. There were even times that he would spray the pit with Lysol just to make sure there was nothing on it. You know, the rug, spray it all over. I let him do it, you know. Had no effect on the dogs, and, you know, he'd do it beforehand so it'd all go away. But just to, in case there, a lot of times, you know, people will put bitches and heat in there so that smell is in there. So he avoided all that. Like I said, he was real calculating. Always paid up. Never a problem. And the one thing they always did was clean up after themselves at my house. You know, treated us with respect. So I had a lot of respect for him. But I noticed that you know, that weight thing, that always got me. Just right on the button, right on the button, right on the button. Successful for a lot of years, and one of the best I would see and become acquainted with. One guy who lived not too far from me, and his development was, you know, a lot of times guys, you just match dogs off the chain. $50 here, $100 there, $25 here and there. In shape, half-ass shape, off the chain, whatever you want to call it. And then they progress into a more higher level, right? And it's not that they weren't conditioning dogs at the time, put them in shape and keep, but you can tell over time they get better and better and better. And that was Cat and Company. It's always willing to throw down, always willing to go into anybody, travel some. You know, when you're in California, you travel, your travel can be a lot even though you never leave California because it's such a big state. You can travel for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours. You're still in California. That's how big the state is. It's like 1,000 miles long or 1,200 miles long, 500 miles wide in different spots. So you could be up in the mountains, you could be in the suburbs, you could be in the rural communities, you know, out in the country, up in the hills, in the mountains, in the snow, desert, by the ocean. And we all went through matching dogs in all these different areas. You could be in not the best part of town, in some basement, or you could be up in the hills where the mountain lions and raccoons and bears live, you know. It's just that way. That's the way California, and a lot of other states are that way too, but there's just so much diversity and so many different climates even, you know. You go down south, nice and cool, breezy if you're by the ocean. Hang a left and go east and you're out in the high desert where it's hot and dry. You go up north, it's the same time of year that it's cool down south, and it's cold up north. San Francisco area or up above, higher than that, there's snow. You get up going towards Truckee, going to Reno, 4 foot of snow. Hanging left from the Bay Area, or right from the Bay Area, and you're in 100-degree weather in Sacramento, you know. And Cat and Company would do all that. So we started at that level and moved up, and then got better and better and better, where he could compete with anybody, had his dogs in good shape. I lost 2, and I refereed Grand Champion Jinxes being part of his career. I think we were his first win. We lost to him in 40-something minutes. I think I refereed his fourth, which was 28 minutes. And all his matches were under an hour. He might have went 50 minutes one time. He's about a 41 pound dog like that. And just rough, expert throat fighter. And even through his career, his conditioning kept getting better and better. Quality of opponents got better. He didn't really fight no non-quality opponents. For example, he beat us. He beat Tito. He beat LA Dream Team. He beat Scream City. And he beat Max. Guys that used to throw down. He also had a real good dog named Sir from John Craig. He was kind of that white blood bully son. I don't know. Maybe some Zebo in there. Old Ed Crenshaw. White dog. Did him at 48 pounds. And that was too heavy for him. Sir ran hot. But he won in an hour. I refereed his second match. He won in an hour 28. Beat two-time winner. Man, he was in excellent shape. So it was just fine-tuning the weight. Getting him down. And at 45 pounds, I think, in my opinion, he could have competed with anybody. And with his conditioning, again, he could go short, he could go long. It just happened that the opponents why he won an hour 28, is they were good opponents. They weren't going to lie down and just take it. It was no easy win for him. But he had everything he wanted. He had mouth, he had gameness, he had strength and durability, rough shoulders, front end like that. He had a little dog named Sammy, and again, his second keep was better than his first, or his first, I forget how it went, but he won in 40 minutes down south. I went there and saw that one. Then he won at my place in an hour and it's an hour and 12 maybe, or hour and 6 or something like that. And I believe he got best in show. I think he did. Boleo bred dog down off of Champion Kramer, Ruth's Champion Kramer. Boleo bred, heavy Boleo. Smart head dog, could fight rough if he had to. Showed heart, but just in good shape. Another bitch he put in excellent shape against Williams was a bitch named Tina. She could cut like a razor, man. The only thing she lacked was heart, and that's why Lumpy won. She bit off half of Lumpy's ear, half of her muzzle, lacerations on her front end, and Lumpy just outgamed her, but it wasn't conditioning why Tina lost. She was in excellent shape. He had some tough losses. He lost to that Champion Duco dog with Fleetwood. And he borrowed, what's his name? He was a white dog. He was off of Goner. He beat some guys from Arizona with him out in the desert. One of the biggest 43-pound dogs I've ever seen. I'd have probably done him at 45 myself, but actually Steve told him to do him at 43. He did. He looked rough at that weight. Not like, you see some dogs, but he won. And he had the conditioning, and it only went 40 minutes. He was rough like that, but big for that weight. Wishbone was the dog's name. It's off a Goner and a Heinzel bitch, which that's what bullshit in them are. They're off a Goner and Heinzel bitch from Bill Lee, bred down from Orby Copeland stuff, which came from Howard Heinzel. So that white dog Heinzel cross worked really well. Wishbone was a very good dog. I'd have took him anywhere, man. Because again, he had all the tools. He was rough, durable, thick bone, like a lot of the white dogs are. Bit good. And a Cat and Company won with him for his first, and then Steve traveled with him back east and won his second. And they, like a lot of people do, you trade dogs back and forth. So he borrowed Wishbone and sent him back. And he's one of that guys. I just, as he continued on with his career, he got better and better, and I had more and more respect for him. And he wouldn't back down. If he wanted to go, he'd go. So he certainly deserves mention. Known him for years and years. Of course, LA Dream Team, they didn't have the captain, who I knew the best. I knew Randy a little bit, and I knew Corny and some of the other ones who sometimes these guys, they're together and then they're not later. They break up, they go their own way. But there were several of them. But the captain was always in charge. We beat him with Champion Bill, and we beat him with Percy. And one other one, I think, I forget. But he had a lot of success. And win or lose, he'd do the dogs. Even if they quit, he'd do them again. Sometimes they win, sometimes they wouldn't. He had several champions, a few ROM dogs, just real successful. They matched a lot of dogs. Captain always at the helm. And I'm talking 10 or 15 dogs a year. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But just did a lot of them, more than a lot of people did at the time. Stayed mostly in the California area, all over the place. And I think one of the best dogs of his I saw in shape was Champion. He beat Shotgun Kennels, Champion Wyatt Earp. Again, 41 pounds. He was a big 41-pound dog. Railed out. Had all the tools. Plus, he was smart. He'd get on the muzzle, the head, cut you up. That one went over 2 hours. I refereed that one. And in fact, it was on the same card. I'd lost to a bitch who had become champion named Nikki. And Cat and Company went into Nikki. And they lost to her too with a female from PB who was off of Bratz Champion Ninja and the same dam as Champion Bill and Champion Knucklehead named Blondie. Just a game bitch and rough. Just Nikki was too smart, too fast, more experience. But that was on the same card as Wyatt and Buck was Jap and Nikki. It's a good show. Cat and Company hosted it, I think. And he did like I did. He hosted shows. And also where he lived at one time, he had several single matches there. In a small area, not a lot of people. Elrod fought there. I did. A lot of different people. Pat Gomez. Different guys went down there. Rode a lot of dogs there. But Wyatt was in excellent shape. Man, he looked impressive. He was I forget if he was a 2-time winner or 3-time. Anyway, he lost his last match to a dog named Burrito that was out of the little Bugsy bitch that I sent to Rancherita Kennels. Bugsy was off of Champion Ninja and my Lucy female. But Wyatt was a good dog, man. And then, of course, he had Champion Jesse James, who we beat. He had Snow, who we beat. He had... he also won at my place. I forgot her name. Champion... Or he lost to Champion Blondie. Mexicano's Champion Blondie. 26 minutes of stifle to stifle. Just going at it. And he had a lot of successes. If you read my book, he's in there. He names all the champions in ROM dogs he had. Hank Jr., Earl, and a bunch of them off the top of my head. It's kind of hard memory, but they're all mentioned in my book. There's dozens of dogs that they used and won with. But the captain always ready. Wasn't afraid of anybody. Put him in good shape. And that's the one that stands out in my mind was Wyatt. He's in excellent shape. Beat a 2-time winner in Buck. It's kind of a Pedro Rascal bred dog. Buck just wouldn't quit, man. Just took it all, kept going until they finally stopped it. And like I said, it was over 2 hours. Got to mention my protege and very good friend of mine, OTK. Another one of them guys, travel anywhere, have gun, will travel. All over the U.S., all over Mexico, Central America, down there. Just travel. 1,500 to 3,000 miles for him wasn't that big of a deal. And I said this to other people because they asked me, how do you compare, because he calls me his mentor. So that's why I say he's my protege. As far as conditioning, how do you guys compare? And I say it like this. Back in the day when we were both competing at the same time, I was better than him. But as time progressed, he got better than I was back in the day. And that's that progression and learning and becoming better and doing more and more dogs and fine-tuning your conditioning. That's what he did. Several champions. He's got champion Cholo, champion Yoko, champion Negron, champion Khaleesi, champion 7-time winner Clarice, probably, 25 best in show trophies, 12 or 15 Gamus in show, got awards for being the best handler. Again, dogs, he kept them like I like them, kept the heart in them, kept the speed and the strength, added more mouth and things here and there, added similar blood and some different stuff, and just kept progressing and progressing, getting better and better. Hosting and being on big shows, conventions, 8, 10, 15, 16, 20 match shows, and in the past, I haven't been down there in years and years, but in Mexico, a lot of where this took place. And prior to that, 30 years ago, all over the U.S., but just competing and getting better at it, fine-tuning it, and breeding his own dogs and using his own dogs and conditioning his own dogs and feeding them and all that stuff. So my hat's off to him, of course, for taking the blood into the next generation, into the future, improving on it, improving himself, and getting better and better at it. That just comes from the love of competition. And that's what most top competitors do. Start at a certain level, you move up, you get better, you get more competitive, you do more dogs. And then as time goes on, you wane down, do one every now and again till once a year, and then you fully retire. And that's what most of these people I'm talking about did. Had long careers. Some of them didn't have that long career, but some of them had long careers. And then you retire, you have those memories. And those memories are what you live with later on, because, everybody gets old, everybody. But you have that career to reflect on, and all them good times you have to remember. I have to mention Mr. Gray, one of the best conditioners I ever seen. As far as OTK, what does he use? Hand walking, strength work, meals, stuff like that. I've seen Mr. Gray use one of his dogs, Baja, beat a champion in 32 minutes. Excellent shape. When I first saw Mr. Gray's dogs, just looking at them, and people disagree with this, but I can look at some dogs and tell that they're in good shape. Not always, but just the way they act, the way they look, the way they walk. That's the way when I look at Mr. Gray's dogs, how I felt. They're in good condition. And whether they go a short time or a long time didn't matter. They were up to the task. He used a treadmill, and hopefully one day we'll talk about it. He's agreed to, we just haven't gotten around to it. And he dragged weights, feeds red meat, hard work, 6-week keep. OTK was 8-week keep. Mr. Gray was a 6-week keep. A lot of these guys 8 weeks like that. But Mr. Gray I have a lot of respect for, because he tells you all the good and bad, talks about the losses, mostly wins. Definitely a lot more wins than losses. And we do a lot of interviews, so I won't go into too much. A lot of that information is there, but I have to mention him as being one of the top. Speaking of white dogs, we have Steve. There's a lot of people that had the white dogs. Al and Gary, Sam and Al, Lupe, of course, Steve. We have different people. Some of them don't want to be named, but there are not a lot of people that had it, but kind of a certain community that had. Randy, of course, had Goner. Steve, this is what was told to me. I don't know if it's true, and you get information here and there. Sometimes you ask people a question, they smile, they don't answer, but I guess that means yes. Basically, from what I understand, hand walking, treadmill, cat meal, 12-week keep, and 4 weeks of pre-keep and 8 weeks of work. And Steve did similar to what Mr. Gray did, what Bakary has talked about, and Billy Stevens talk about, is they bring the dogs below weight during the keep and bring them up to weight. Most of Steve's dogs look bigger than their opponent. You big dog them, it's called. So, 38-pound dog looks like a 41-pound dog, or 40-pound dog. 35-pound dog looks like a 37-pound dog. He did that with Wishbone. He did it with Bullshit. I'm sure he did it with Bart. I've seen Shorty. I've seen, what was his name? Mighty Dog. Big dog, big bone, big thick bone. And some of them had some short wins. Shorty won under an hour. Wishbone won under an hour. Mighty Dog won under an hour. But he was always ready for the long haul. Bullshit, he sent him to Joe Woody in Oklahoma. He won in 19 minutes. They sent him back here. He won in an hour and 9 minutes. And then he won his championship over Taylor, 2 hours and 33 minutes. And then he lost in almost 2 hours. So in my opinion, Steve was always ready to go the long haul. Shorty lost in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wishbone won in over an hour. Wishbone won in over an hour, and so did Mighty Dog. Yeah, Champion Barracuda that went to the BC Boys, and all these different dogs. Elrod was a white dog. I don't know if Randy bred him or Steve bred him, but he was that stuff, or maybe Tony bred him. Anyways, kind of same blood. He won on the same card as Bullshit in an hour. What was it? Hour 20 on that same card. Red Danger won in an hour 40. Shiny Black Dog won in an hour 20. But they were always ready to go the long haul. He said one time to me, if I work a dog conditioned dog for 2 hours, he should be able to fight for 2 hours. And his could do that. They would come on strong in the end, even show better mouth at the end sometimes than they did in the beginning. Some would fuss around, patient, wait till their advantage came, and then they'd come on strong in the end. So he was always ready for that. The way he handled was cool and calm. Never get too excited, never get flustered like that. Even though you may have butterflies in your stomach and you may be nervous, he never showed it. In fact, I had so much respect for him and Vince that at my first convention, I wanted them to referee it, and they agreed to. Both of them refereed 2 fights each. There were 4 matches on that show. That's where Little Hank won, and Cat and Company's Sammy won, and what was her name? Lily won, and I lost with Tank. It's a good show, but I wanted them to referee. I saw several of their dogs. Steve has his dogs in good shape, win or lose, and he was tough to beat. His opinion, he only would bring out what he considered the best. Not an average dog, not a maybe, not like that. Tested him hard, looked at him good, and had him in shape, and his record proves that he won most of his matches. I have to mention Vinnie. I know Vinnie for years and years. He had some tough losses. We beat him with Mr. Roddy. We beat him with Champion Knucklehead. We beat him with Champion Dawson. But he, of course, they know him for Chinaman. And he always had Chinaman in good shape, and Chinaman was a killer, no doubt. He was rough like that. But I have to mention two dogs that he had in excellent shape. And a lot of them, it's not them. He even made a dog I gave to him, Johnny Handsome. He made champion out of him. I saw his second or third win. On that same card, there was a dog he was using off of St. Benedict's Champion Thunder named Oregon. Just excellent shape, strong and fast. Vince handled him and beat a real game dog, real talented, fast dog named Willie Boy, a thoroughbred dog. And there was no let up in Oregon. He just kept coming. You could hear the damage he was doing. Steady, strong. It went an hour 35, but he could have gone 2:35 or 3:35 like that. And the same with Petey. Petey was a kind of like a Carver Klaus Bolio bred dog. Again, excellent shape. Beat Tito's Champion Ninja 2 hours and 20 minutes, never took a breath. Could have gone 5 hours if he had to. Just that type of dog. And again, you look at him, just a picture of health and conditioning, strength, and speed. And I even saw, this was down south a lot of years ago. He had a champion dog, and he ended up picking the dog up, but Vinnie handled him from his knees. The dog turns had been called. They had already handled the dog, and he was on both knees or on one knee or whatever. Anyway, he just handled the dog. It's right there in his corner. It's a slick move. That's what you get when you get more experience. You handle accordingly, and you don't get ruffled, and you handle smooth. Even if it's quick, it's still smooth. But Vince, like I said, he had some tough losses. He had some great wins. In fact, Petey, he lost his third match. He only wanted to fight champions. So he beat a champion for Mr. K, then he beat Champion Ninja, and then he lost to Champion LA, Wesley's LA. That one went over 2 hours too. But aside from Chinaman, I had to mention other dogs that he used because they were in excellent shape. And I saw him lose with Pirate. That went almost 2 hours. I seen him win with Brat's Champion Ninja. That one went an hour and 9 minutes. He was in good shape for that one. And in fact, Don Brat had won with Ninja his first match and then sent him out to Vinnie, and Vinnie won his next two. He won in 50-something minutes for his second, and then an hour, 9 minutes for his third over a white dog named Bull Hurley. And again, steady work, steady Ninja, biting hard, getting in there, pushing, driving. He looked good. So, I've seen other guys, or at least dogs that they conditioned, even if they weren't the ones handling. But Danny Burton always has to be mentioned. These are honorable mentions. Danny Burton, Ronnie Anderson, Tom Griego, Gene Matson. Tom Griego, one of those guys, world traveler, been to Russia, been to the islands, been to Mexico, been here, been there, been all over the place. We were visiting one time. He had a book. He showed me all his champions, all his dogs. He had several wins in a row, some tough losses. And that's what I mean about guys that are good conditioner, really in there. They're not afraid to tell you, yeah, I lost. Sometimes people embellish stuff, and sometimes people only talk about the good, and they sound like they never lost. But everyone I know has made mistakes, and a lot of them, I've seen them make mistakes. I've made mistakes. A lot of them have dogs that quit. A lot of them have things go south and like that. But they have some great wins, and they have a lot more wins than their losses. And dogs that show gameness and ability and mouth and great conditioning. And it comes down to conditioning. I think the longest match I saw was 3 hours and 20 minutes to a draw that OTK had, two females. Just good fight. Conditioning plays a role. And they weren't just laying around and wrestling like that. They were throwing down, cutting each other up, puncturing holes, bleeding, milk coming out. I've talked about it before, but you see that. How do these dogs take that punishment, go through that? There's obvious damage, and they keep going. Mr. Rowdy, 2 broken legs, all the flesh taken off. That's the conditioning part. That's how I consider these guys having the ability to condition dogs. And a lot of it is, if you were ever back in that day, you see these dogs taking this punishment. You see these dogs going through that. But they're not getting tired, and even though they're hurt, there's not a lot of crimson flowing. That's the conditioning part. So even though the damage is visible, they're not leaking out a lot of fluids. That's how they can go long distance. Being damaged like that, being fatigued like that, hurt and tired, but the conditioning allows them to do that. And the injuries close up, and they don't leak. They're not bleeding out, basically. When you see that, that's how you know one of the things. It tells you that dog is in good shape. And all these guys I mentioned were like that. I've seen TDK's dog. In fact, he lost to, or their dog at least, lost to Mighty Dog. Went an hour or something. Mighty Dog was messed up, man. And but he won. He beat TDK. He beat Tito. A lot of these guys went into each other. Tito went into Cat and Company. He went into LA Dream Team. I went into LA Dream Team. I went into Smith and Walton. I went into Mr. K. Chainsaw went into all these guys. Too, he was another one. I seen him win with Magnum. He's the one who beat Shorty. Steve Shorty was a 2-time winner. Magnum, I think, was a Bully Son Niggerino dog. Went 2 hours and 40 minutes. Then he come by the house with Joey on his way to a show, and Joey beat a white dog and beat Flapjack in 1 hour 15. And we beat Chainsaw with Mr. Rowdy 1 hour 28. On that same card, LA Dream Team beat Chainsaw with, I forgot what female it was. But you have all these guys going into each other, and it's a lot of people. This is just off the top of my head. You got Shotgun Kennels, you have Pitt Town, and different guys. Pineapple Kid, you know, back and forth with him. I'd have to mention him as well. Adolf, we lost to them with Boomer, and to Adolf, that went 2 hours and 2 minutes. Adolf subsequently went 3 hours, and I forget if it was a draw or a loss or whatever, I forget. But Adolf had won prior to that in 40-something minutes. There was a white dog they were using, Champion, I forget his name, but Pineapple Kid used him. Won 4 matches with Champion China Rose. He used Wino the first time, beat a Jeep dog, beat Cash Money Brothers in 50 minutes, and then Vinnie borrowed Wino after that, after Pineapple Kid had won with him, and it's when he lost to our Mr. Rowdy. Pineapple Kid, he was a traveler too. He beat Rastaman's Drill Bit with Champion Blondie, El Mexicano's Champion Blondie, and went back there to do that. He also beat Manzi Payne with China Rose. That's right, back there. So he traveled too, and always had good shows. Always, you know, most of the time had his dogs in good condition. Worked several champions. A lot of times he worked dogs for other people. Even though his name's attached to him, he conditioned and handled them. Dogs didn't actually belong to him. But he gets the credit for conditioning and handling. So in my area, these are some of what I consider the top conditioners, and some other people I've seen out of my area. And I have to give that honorable mention that I saw dogs from other people. You know, Ronnie Anderson, one with Brutus on that card, one with Redman on that card, one with Buck on that card. Micah Booth was there handling them. Different guys. That show, Raymond Holt was there, Mike Thibodeau was there, Danny Burton was there. Curry Brothers, they hosted it. Different people. And you see top dogs in different areas, in different climates, different elevations. Top guys get it done. And as far as my area goes, these are some of the top guys. Very consistent. Dogs in good shape. Hope you enjoy the vid. Thanks for your comments and your input and camaraderie. Wishing everybody again a happy new year. Wish you all the best. And thanks.